Welcome to Mr. Mitsubishi YouTube channel designated to Mitsubishi stuff, and today we'll have a look at this. So let's compare size wise and interior wise two Mitsubishi SUVs. One is the all new Outlander, the 2022 Mitsubishi Outlander. The other one is 2022 Mitsubishi RVR in Canada, Outlander Sport in US, and Mitsubishi ASX in other parts of the world. So I know this is not a fair comparison, and maybe even people typically on the paper wouldn't compare these two, but just based on my real life experience and what I see on a daily basis, sometimes this client would choose this car and this client would choose this car. Sometimes people do these types of comparisons, and somebody coming in looking to buy an RVR ends up buying an Outlander. Sometimes it's vice versa. Sometimes it can happen. So obviously two different SUVs. Today we'll have a look at just basically side-by-side comparison, front, side and rear, and we also check out the interior differences, how it feels inside space-wise and how it looks. So right now let's check out the side-by-side comparison when we look at the front. Okay, let's check it out. And before we proceed further, just wanted to let you know kind of the difference in simple terms money-wise. For a fully loaded this, you can get ES this. So fully loaded RVR price is gonna be about the same as base price for the ES Outlander. So go and figure, right? So basically price wise, if you're looking to spend the money for the fully loaded, obviously if you're looking base versus base, RVR is going to be much cheaper, right? But if you look at fully loaded versus base, so they're the similar price, give or take. So now let's have a look at the front. Obviously we can see that Outlander is already one step ahead in terms of the size. It's a much bigger vehicle, even the front grille, look how big and massive this grille is. And then you have the RVR, who's seemingly smaller, right? So now if we look at the top down, so basically we can see even the roof line is much higher on the Outlander. And then the windshield size, I'd say it kind of looks the size about the same. Probably it is smaller. Interesting is that the mirror height, rear mirror height, is about the same, I would say, on both cars, right? So then essentially we can see how design wise they kind of designed a little bit different, right? But the mirror height is about the same, right? And obviously we do have the front hood, and everything else is much larger on the Outlander, so there's no doubt that Outlander is a bigger vehicle. Obviously both have dynamic shield design line, and this daytime running lights are here and the headlights right there, so we have that feature kind of similar, kind of the same, right? So the grille, we can see how even the grille design is the same, right? The only difference would be here with Outlander you kind of have feeling that's one integrated grille, and then you just have these horizontal chrome lines. But in RVR case you have this little bit bigger chunks of plastic going through, and this just looks more like one piece of plastic in terms of a little bit more refined, I would say, looks on the Outlander. So there we go. We just checked out the front comparison. We can see how RVR is way bigger. Now let's have a look at the side comparison, then we'll look at the back, then the interior. And here we have the side view of both of them. Again, we can see how Outlander is just much bigger in terms of size for the RVR. RVR does look like a small brother of this car, so for sure if you're looking for size and passenger space, Outlander is going to be your choice. If you're looking just mainly maybe somebody else in a car, city driving around town, good on gas, then RVR is an excellent choice. But this gives you a perspective of identical side-by-side comparison between both of them. Like I said, not very often, but often enough so it makes sense for me to do this video. People compare both cars, and sometimes after you drive one you might like the other one, and sometimes other way around. It's hard to say, maybe sometimes people think they need all that size, but then they jump into the Outlander. They don't need all that space, then they drive the RVR, and that seems like the perfect fit for them, right? So but this is how they look. Again, design wise, you can definitely see that it's a you know, similar kind of like, you know, lines as you'd get on the Outlander. Both have very nice body colored side moldings. I like them a lot. This you know, Outlander has a little bit more chrome, has these roof rails on top, so maybe gives you a little bit more two-tone contrast. But there we go. This is how they look side comparison. If we look at the size-wise alone, and now let's check out the back comparison, and then we'll look at both interiors. And here they are. I love that they're the same color, so it shows us exactly same design lines, because if we take even comparisons of Outlander and we would compare, let's say, red to black, they just show different, right? So but this way we have identical color comparison. Like I mentioned before, by no means this is some type of fair comparison or apples to apples. Even the trim level is a little bit different. It's just the general design lines and size, right? So, and then, you know, how we see it here, like I think the bumper is kind of, you know, similar style. The lights and everything else, it's obviously like much different one to other, but generally speaking, you can recognize both are Mitsubishis and both are basically cut from the same cloth. And size wise, of course, we can also see that Outlander is much bigger than the RVR, so different class. We're not trying to convince anybody here that it's the same size, just basically looking at the comparison. So there we go. Let's check out the interior now. And first, let's check out the RVR. So there we go. It's a nice looking interior. I like it a lot. We have leather wrap steering wheel on this one, a nice piano gloss elements on the steering wheel and around it. No sunroof on this one. Let's check from the second row perspective how it looks. Okay, this is how the interior looks. I quite like it. It looks like SUV, so you have these, like, you know, kind of like this part is bigger and like goes a little bit smaller there, and you have nice, like, you know, visible cup holders. This one is still like a good mix of old school and new school, so to speak, right? So I have good these elements, like, you know, glossy steering wheel and like glossy elements around the shifter, and then you have, like, you know, these kind of like old school looking buttons and whatnot, right? But I do like it. I think that's how Mitsubishi can keep the cost down on these RVRs. Nothing wrong with that. Still good warranty and everything else. Good car. Let's jump by the steering wheel. Okay, it feels quite nice once you're in the vehicle. Spacious enough. I'm 6'2", and then the headroom is still very good, so I can find my perfect spot, so to speak, and it feels good in here. So for your daily commuter, for the type of vehicle it is, I think it's one of the best choices you can ever have on here, right? So now let's have a look at the Outlander. I parked it right there, so let's walk over and see what it's all about. Should feel much bigger. Okay, open the door. Here we can see the new design interior for the Outlander. This one has panoramic sunroof as well. Let's check out how it looks from this perspective here. Okay, we can see how the interior is much different. You have this horizontal looks, very nice, large, you know, this middle console part right here. Overall, the Outlander interior looks very, very good. Obviously, way more redesigned and way more different looking than the RVR. So let's have a look at the driver's side perspective. Okay, let's jump in. And it does feel good. Feels much wider, bigger, way more spacious. So if you're looking for space, so this is obviously also a 7-seater, so it will give you this space that you need. All the modern like screens and amenities that you have on the Outlander. Obviously this one is way more modern looking interior, so, and it feels a lot more spacious. So there we go. We just checked out the differences between Outlander and RVR. Size-wise, interior-wise, like I said, sometimes, not very often, people are comparing them. And if you're curious to see, I hope this video was helpful. So thank you so much for watching. See you next videos.